here with my mom. She's born in 1963. So here's a question that I'm gonna have to ask you.
Okay.
What was your favorite childhood memory?
My favorite childhood memory.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. First one that comes to mind is Christmas when I was like maybe 11 years old.
Okay.
I really wanted a television for Christmas. And my grandpa had this box under the Christmas tree for me. And he said, open that one first. And I opened this one up expecting it to be a television. And it was a old case. Beer used to come in cases with a flip top. It was a case of beer and his old work boots wrapped in this box. And I got so angry and I said, great, thanks a lot. That was a great Christmas. And he goes, well, and my uncle looked at me and he goes, well, you know what, why don't you just go to your room so we can talk about you. And I walked in my bedroom and there was a TV sitting there in my bedroom on, and so it was a funny memory, so. Okay.
How did you communicate with your friends and your family, since there weren't like cell phones or anything?
So we had these lovely rotary dial phones in our house, or push button. You were a big deal if you had a push button phone. It had a really long cord, and I had a tall stool that sat next to the phone.
So you could sit
So I could sit there on the phone and talk to them. And sometimes I would stretch the cord around into the dining room, and I'd sit against the wall in the dining room if I didn't want my mom to hear what I was talking about.
Did you have a curfew? And if you did, when did it like go away? Or when did they get less strict?
So when I was, my father died when I was 11 years old, so it was just my mom and I living in our house. And so when I was in high school, I had a curfew.
What time?
It was usually midnight. And the hard and fast rule was I had to be home at midnight, or if I couldn't be home at midnight or wanted to stay out later than that, I had to call my mom in enough time that I could still be home at midnight to ask for permission if I wanted to stay out later. And then that curfew pretty much went away when I got to college, because I still lived at home when I went to college. And we just had an understanding that if I was not coming home, if I was staying at a friend's, that I needed to call so that she knew where I was.
Yeah. And then, how did you meet the people you dated?
So at school, at parties. We had a lot of house parties then, because you really couldn't get into bars underage.
Yeah.
Through friends. I met two of the guys I dated at wedding receptions. One of them being your dad. Some of them were through work, because I dated a couple doctors that I worked with at the hospital. Pretty much.
What was your first job?
My first job was in retail, at a place called Libson Shop, Libson, and it was a clothing store for women.
How old were you?
16.
What did you do for fun on Saturday nights?
Go out with friends. We'd go to the movies. We'd go to house parties. Just hang out. Back then, we had a lot of people had fast cars. We'd sit in McDonald's parking lot with our cars and talk about what was going on and just visit.
Do you have a favorite age, stage of your life? That was most fun, that you enjoyed the most?
I would say probably 25 to 35. Just because it was when I kind of felt like I knew what I wanted in life. I had some great friends and relationships. At 25 I wasn't married yet, but by 28 I was married. And I was just enjoying my life extremely. I felt really good about my job, my place of employment.
And what was the first technological invention that occurred in your lifetime?
In my lifetime, microwave.
Yeah. Microwave.
Mm-hmm. My grandma worked, or your grandma, my mother worked for Dillard's, and when microwaves came out, she got one of the first microwaves. Well, so technically, color television came out first, because we had a black and white TV. And so we had a color TV pretty early also. And then microwaves came out probably about 8 to 10 years later, I want to say. And we had this huge Amana microwave. It was like, this long and this wide. And it opened up like an oven. And it was in our kitchen, yeah.
What was your favorite part of high school or college?
Just the good friendships that I developed in both of those. And just coming of age, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Finding your own place in the world, what you liked, what you didn't like, that wasn't reflective of your parents and your family.
Do you have a favorite birthday?
Favorite birthday? Of course 21, that always pops in your head. And it's like, you all gave me a surprise birthday party when I turned 50.
Yeah.
So I really liked that one too. I also had a surprise one at 40 that Brad did, which was really fun. But I think I liked 51 better.
All right, that's it.
That's it? Okay. That was easy.
Okay, now I'll be answering the post-interview question. So, do I see this person in a different light? No, I don't really see my mom in a different light because we're very close, and so I know pretty much all about like her childhood and like how it was like for her growing up. Did you know any of this information, or did you learn it today? The only information that I didn't really know was if she had a curfew and really how late it was, but I found out her curfew was at midnight, and then kind of went away to college, and it's been like that for me too. And like what her first job was, and her first job was retail whenever she was 16. And then what like her favorite stage of life was, what she said was 25 to 35. And the similarities and differences of their generation and yours. We both have similar high school experiences, such as like spending like quality time with your friends, or going out on weekends, like going to people's houses, the movies, and just hanging out with your friends, really. And that's what high school is mostly about. And also like growing up, especially as teenagers, we're all looking forward to our like 21st birthday, and that's just how it is nowadays. And then what was the most surprising thing you learned today? The most surprising thing I learned today was what her favorite stage of life was. And she said it was 25 to 35. And she said that because she had everything figured out. She knew what she wanted. And she eventually got married at 28. She was having great time with her family, with her friends. And she was getting really close with those relationships. And she was just really enjoying life. And that's why she said that was her favorite stage of life. And this was kind of fun for me, because even though I have a really close relationship with my family members, this was fun because I got to understand just a little bit more about what their life was like. Because even though we're close, I don't know every single little detail. So it was kind of fun to ask those like little nitpicky type questions, just to like see what their like favorite memory was, or favorite birthday was, or just something really simple like that. And it's fun. It was a cool experience to learn those new things about my mom especially. Thank you.